Nebraska's winter wheat condition continues to slip. The latest National Agricultural Statistics Service report showed nearly half of the state's wheat in poor or very poor condition. Greg Kruger talked with us from North Platte this week about options for growers as the crop moves through winter and how severe the condition is around central Nebraska.
Much like other parts of the state, the wheat crop is pretty rough here. Most of it has been listed in poor to very poor condition, and we've struggled from a lack of precipitation this year to get a good wheat stand.
So what are the options right now? I mean, I'm sure you're looking at a few things. You're probably looking at when it's going to go into dormancy because we've had unusually warm weather. And I'm sure the talk of abandoning it is perhaps some time away. But what are the things that growers are thinking about now?
Well, like you said, Jeff, that there's a possibility that growers are starting to think about abandoning their crop and stuff. Maybe just a little early to do that. We've had, as you mentioned, unusually warm weather this fall. If we were to get a little precipitation while we've got some of these warm days, maybe a little bit more wheat would come, and we could get a little bit better stands. But at this point, there's nothing else that we're going to plant this fall. So leaving that crop until the spring would behoove most growers. Unfortunately, wheat doesn't have that ability to compensate much like soybean crops or some of our other crops would. So the thin stands will certainly hurt the yields, but I would hope that most of our growers will wait until spring to make any drastic changes to their cropping systems.
It's not necessarily then beyond help if there is rain over the next week or so, which looks to be a long shot at this point.
The conditions are so unusual to what we've experienced. Certainly, if we had some warm weather and some moisture, we might get a little better stands. I think it's kind of a long shot at this point, but certainly not out of the realm of possibilities based on the weather conditions that we've seen over the past year or two.
I'll show my ignorance, and so it's better for the warm weather rather than to throttle it down into the cold weather for dormancy?
Well, we are going to need that cold weather to vernalize those plants. We need a stretch of cold weather, but we need a little bit of warm weather to bring any wheat seeds that haven't germinated yet. But that's also going to take some moisture, which we haven't had yet.
I know we talked in January of last year about the winter wheat crop there, and at that time you had gotten rain at planting at the beginning of last year that had helped. Is there anything like that this year that has helped establish a root base at all?
In this part of the state, we have not had the precipitation in the late fall that we got last year. The wheat yields were surprisingly good, despite or surprisingly better than expected, considering the dry climate that we had this last growing year for the wheat crop. But this year we haven't been as fortunate.
What do you look for in the next crop after this? How much will it affect what goes into the ground after that wheat comes out?
Well, our wheat crop is a very, very valuable crop in our rotations, particularly in this part of the state and in the Panhandle. Not only do we pull the wheat off of there, but we also have that residue that is left behind from that wheat crop. And a wheat residue is very, very good for conservation, both of soil and moisture. So having that good wheat stand is critical for the success of that subsequent crop going into that crop rotation. So it's unfortunate that the weather's played these kind of tricks on us this year.
Quickly, just for a point of reference, for people that aren't familiar with that area of the state, how prevalent is winter wheat there? How utilized is it?
In our dryland crop rotations from about North Platte on west, we're going to see wheat as one of the primary crops in our rotation. Probably the most common rotation in this part of the state on west, we're looking at wheat, corn, fallow, or a continuous wheat fallow rotation.